Selene, the moon goddess, was the most beautiful of all divine figures in ancient Greek mythology. Her parents, the Titans Hyperion and Theia, gifted her with a stunning ethereal appearance that left all those who gazed upon her in awe. Selene commanded her moon chariot across the night sky, leaving behind a trail of silver light that radiated across the land. As a part of the celestial pantheon, Selene had many lovers, but none compared to Endymion. The mortal was so deeply in love with her that he asked Zeus to grant him eternal sleep so he could be with her forever in his dreams. Selene was moved by Endymion's devotion and would often visit him in secret, whispering sweet nothings into his dream-filled ear. In later times, Selene was often mistaken for Artemis, making her the target of many false myths. Unlike Artemis, Selene was solely regarded as the embodiment of the moon and the lunar goddess. Her Roman equivalent, Luna, was equally important and influential in Roman mythology and culture. Even today, the moon holds a special place in our lives, influencing our emotions, tides, and even our dreams, as it did in ancient times. Selene will forever remain a classic representation of the beauty and power of the moon in human culture. Once upon a time, Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon, drove a chariot across the sky every night. Her chariot was described in the Homeric hymn to Selene as being drawn by two majestic, winged horses. The earliest known depiction of her chariot was found on a 5th century BC red figure cup, which showed Selene's chariot descending into the sea. In later accounts, it was said that the chariot was sometimes drawn by oxen or bulls. Aside from her nocturnal role as the moon goddess, Selene was sometimes called Queen of the Night, and her nickname was Nyctimedusa. However, witches from Thessaly were believed to have the power to bring down the moon/Selene with spells and invocations of magic, causing lunar eclipses. This practice was called catharsis, and was thought to bring bad luck to the witches themselves. One famous example of a witch who was believed to have brought down the moon was Aglaonis of Thessaly. Though she was actually an astronomer who could accurately predict the time and area of lunar eclipses, Aglaonis was regarded as a sorceress due to her abilities. It was believed that witches who brought down the moon would inflict self-evils upon themselves, as indicated by the proverb Api Sauto ten Selene Catharius, meaning they caused their own misfortune. Despite this ominous belief, Selene continued to drive her chariot across the sky, illuminating the night for all to see. Selene, the goddess of the moon, was deeply in love with a mortal named Endymion. According to the ancient myth that dates back to the 3rd century BC Argonautica of Apollonius of Rhodes, Selene used to visit Endymion in a cave on Mount Latmus. The reason for Endymion's eternal sleep remains unclear to this day. Some say that Zeus granted him the right to choose when he would die, while others claim he fell in love with Hera and was punished with eternal sleep. However, Zeus allowed him to choose what he wanted, and Endymion chose to sleep forever, remaining deathless and ageless because of his incomparable beauty that was loved by the moon. Cicero even suggested that Selene is responsible for Endymion's sleep, saying she might kiss him while he sleeps. The Roman playwright Seneca portrayed Selene as abandoning the night sky for Endymion's love, and trusting her shining moon chariot to her brother Helios to drive. In Lucian's dialogue between Selene and Aphrodite, they talk about their love affairs with Endymion and Adonis, indicating that Selene fell in love with Endymion while watching him sleep each night. Quintus Smyrnaeus wrote that while Endymion slept in his cave, he also watched over his cattle. Moreover, the myth records an otherwise unattested story where a pretty young girl called Muia becomes Selene's rival for Endymion's affections. The chatty maiden would endlessly talk to him while he slept, causing him to wake up, which irritated Endymion and enraged Selene. Selene transforms the girl into a fly, and in memory of the beautiful Endymion, the fly still grudges all sleepers their rest and annoys them. Finally, the story of Selene embracing Endymion is of linguistic terminology that Max Muller interpreted as solar mythology related to Selene and Endymion. The Greek endion meant to dive, and the name Endymion at first described the setting sun diving into the sea. The story of the moon embracing Endymion refers to the sun setting and the moon rising. Gaia, the goddess of the earth, was furious when the Titans, her children, were defeated and sentenced to Tartarus. To retaliate, she created the giants to attack the gods in a war known as the Gigantomachy. A prophecy suggested that a mortal could help the gods defeat the giants. In search of a herb that would make the giants invincible, Gaia began her hunt, but Zeus found out and decided that the herb would be harvested for him alone. To secure their victory, Zeus ordered Selene, Helios, and Eos not to shine. Selene's importance in the battle is evident from her inclusion on the Gigantomachy frieze of the Pergamon altar. Selene fought alongside Helios and Eos, as well as her mother Thea in the southern frieze, against the giants. On the frieze, Selene is portrayed galloping on a horse, wearing a woolen undergarment and a mantle. There is also an image of a goddess standing on a gate tower with Helios, fending off the attacks of snake-legged giants. This goddess is believed to be Selene, as she wears a crescent and a veil over her head on a rain guide for a chariot.